Good morning, Tampa Bay. Tell me you're going to keep that on the entire show.
Well, I don't know if I am or not, but I just flew in from the Masked Singer. I will tell you this first report. I was on the Masked Singer, whatever. Tom Brady was not on the Masked Singer show, as reported by a bunch of dum-dums on Twitter. So he was not. It was I who was actually on the Masked Singer show. So no, Tom Brady was not there. It was I wearing this panda mask. So good morning, everyone.
And we now know that you're not a good singer because you're already home.
Touche.
And you're also going to get in trouble because you breached your contract.
That's true, too. Touché.
This is also very true. Folks, welcome to Channelside in the Morning, live on the Channelside Sports Network. If you are curious, just like I am, how Evan is going to take a drink of that C4.
I should have got a damn straw before I did the show.
Tom Brady is back. We're going to be talking all about Tom Brady. He was not in LA in the Masked Singer.
I was not.
Evan
Tom Brady. I was. You should put two and two together because I wasn't on the past couple of shows. Oh,
the dates line up. Reddit, where are you at? Reddit, where are you guys at?
Exactly.
Let's get to the bottom of this. We're going to talk about the offensive line woes because there's issues with the offensive line, man. And we've been saying it for weeks. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Todd Bowles addressed it yesterday. I've got some numbers, I've got some insights, and I've got some thoughts. And Evan and I are going to pop through those and figure out what we can do at the offensive line. Tristan Wirfs cracked the top 100. The Rays continue to win and handle business.
I think it was getting too itchy.
And are the Magic close to creating magic in Orlando in the Eastern Conference? We're going to break it all down. Thank you if you are tuned in. If you're on the YouTube chat, please hit that thumbs up button. Help us get propelled to the beginning of the homepage of YouTube because we're live. We are live in Tampa Bay. Evan is now blurry. I love it.
I'm having so many problems today. It's not even funny.
Thank you to Steve Jobs.
Yes, thank you, Steve Jobs.
We got to jump into it. We had 79,000 people comment
trying to do a white
Tom Brady post between Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram yesterday. 79,000 people have commented on it. The folks want to talk about Tom Brady. It's pandemonium over here.
It's a good pun. I like that. It's a good pun.
I love it.
I know I wasn't the last couple of shows when the Masked Singer rumors came out, and I guess it's still a slow news day when dum-dums on Twitter and Reddit and TikTok start making all these allegations and stuff. I wouldn't even call them allegations, like rumors and stuff about Tom Brady not being there because he's on the Masked Singer show. And I looked at it as, do you really think he would do that show?
I think so.
Do you think so? I don't know, man. It's Tom Brady. I think he's above doing something corny like that. But then I looked back at it too. It's like, well, he does have a contract with Fox, and they're paying him a lot of money after he retires. So maybe he's contractually obligated to do something like that.
Well, and that was my big takeaway. I was like, whatever, the dates line up, this, that, the other, whatever. But the Masked Singer is on Fox. The show was once a very popular show. It has fallen off a little bit.
Right.
What better way to bring an audience back than to bring the greatest quarterback of all time, who is now under contract with you for a lot of money for a decade?
Hey, I'm in focus now. Awesome.
Yes, you are. I'm glad that the beard is intact. I was worried, folks. Before we went on air, Evan refused to turn his camera on. He said he had a surprise for you, and I was concerned.
It was all about mystery, Danny. I had to do something where it would catch you off guard, and it did, and then succeeded. So
take it off. Take it off.
Yeah, but I know it's a show that it's a dumb show. Listen, it's a stupid show. And I know Gronk went on it before, but that's the type of person Gronk is he's an entertainer. He loves to be goofy and stupid and be on something like that. But I just don't think Tom Brady would stoop that low to be on a show like that. I really don't. I really don't.
See, I don't know because they've had Jimmy Johnson's been on there, Terry Bradshaw's been on there. Like Fox is keeping a lot of like their sports people in house.
Right.
And I know Tom Brady's not technically in house right now, but like that's the only thing that made sense to me was that he's already on Fox essentially. Why not try to boost up your ratings? Because that show is probably not going to get canceled because they already have like 4 different spinoffs of it.
I'm sure they were kind of like, look, we're paying you this amount of money. It's $375 million there, Tom. I think you can throw us a bone where you can just hop on this little show, give us a little boost, and then all will be well. Because
how decent can you sing, Tom?
Yeah, we're
That's
paying
all
you,
that matters, really.
We're paying you a ton of money. Just go on the show. Just come on. Just go on the show.
Well, Tom Brady is back. Obviously, that happened yesterday during the show. Tom Brady is back in Tampa. He practiced yesterday with the team. He was on the field like nothing happened. I mean, he even took to Twitter and said, wore a mask last week, wasn't on the Masked Singer. And like Tom Brady's the ultimate troll. And that's why I think that he would, maybe not this time around, but that's why I think he would do something like the Masked Singer because he loves just like screwing with people.
Danny, I can see him doing this after he's done playing, though. Like after
you gotta remember, he was done playing for just over a month. That was also my thing. Is like I'm sure he had something lined up. What Masked Singer doesn't matter what it was, but I'm sure he had something lined up because this is the first time in 2 decades that he was readily available.
Right. Yeah, but this show didn't tape until if he was on it, which he was not. He taped it like, a couple weeks ago, which listen, I think the Bucs knew what he was doing all the time. They knew he was going to do a family thing
100%.
And that was that. And I actually applaud the dum-dums that came up with the rumor that he was on the Masked Singer because a lot of people took it and ran with it. So I applaud that person for, being a troll and starting that rumor.
I was really hopeful that Tom Brady would have I said this yesterday on the show that Tom Brady would have landed in the middle of one buck
with a
private helicopter and would have rolled off of the helicopter with JC Treader or somebody else and just been like, "Yo, we in here," and just dressed,
kind of like a Mission Impossible type deal. Like I came with recruits.
Right. Yes.
But they're dressed. They're dressed in Masked Singer garb. Like they have
that would have been been amazing.
Comes in. He's fully dressed as Tom Brady, and he does the whole Mission Impossible 1 thing where Tom Cruise is kind of dangling. But then his mysterious like person with him comes with Masked Singer garb, and then they reveal it's JC Treader. That would have been cool.
That would have been pretty cool.
Take it off. Boom. Hey, I'm your new center. What's up?
Right. So now that Tom Brady is back, we've got to talk about how do we protect Tom Brady? Because it's not looking like there's going to be a lot of protection for the GOAT in terms of the offensive line. If we even just in terms of bodies, yesterday, we've got the little video clip here, but yesterday, Todd Bowles directly addressed the offensive line.
Well, we like our in-house options, but there's got to be a player available for us to have an added player. We're not just going to sign one to sign one. So there's nothing out there for us to sign, but at the same time, we're comfortable with the guys we have right now.
Are you really comfortable with the guys you have right now? You want to be comfortable with the guys you have right now, just like you want Kyle Trask to pan out because you've got the guys already in-house. You want them to pan out. But here's the issue is Nick Leverett is going to play right guard, center, and left guard. Come on. He can't possibly play all 3 positions. He can't back up Shaq Mason. He can't back up Robert Hainsey, and he can't start at left guard. It's just not, it's not a feasible thing for him to be able to play all three positions. Does he win the starting left guard? Sure, that's fine. But then what happens when Shaq Mason needs a break? What happens when Robert Hainsey needs a break? What are we doing? You've got what, $6.4 million? Just over 6.4. It's like 6.473, I think, is the exact number.
That's not enough to sign Treader.
It's not.
Unless Treader's like, I got nothing to do. Nobody else is calling.
Right.
Might as well just come down and maybe try and win a Super Bowl. It's better than Cleveland. It's better than being in Cleveland, where I was.
100, especially
with the situation that they have right now.
Hands clean too.
Right. I mean, it's. I think Bowles is hits the nail on the head. Is like, hey, you know, we like our options. Of course, there has to be somebody out there that's available. And I mean, obviously, Treader is available, but is he available per money wise? And obviously, he's kind of not. So they kind of have to roll with what they have.
Well, I mean, we know that Jason Light loves to restructure contracts.
Right.
Next year, the Bucs are 63 million in the hole. The Saints were 73 million in the hole, and we've talked about this a couple of times before. 73 million in the hole, figured it out, signed Jarvis Landry, signed Tyrann Mathieu. I'm surprised that we still haven't seen a restructuring of Donovan Smith's contract. You restructure that, you're saving $7 million. Now you've got $13.5 million. Now you can make something happen.
True.
Is it worth paying all of that money to a J.C. Treader? Here's the thing with J.C. Treader. He played injured last season. And that's what a lot of Cleveland fans are saying. It's like, oh, well, he couldn't overcome the injuries that he sustained. He had an 83.7 pass block grade and a 74.8 pass block grade. That was second in the league and fourth in the league in terms of centers blocking grades. If you got that while you're injured, sign me up. I mean,
I'm okay with that too. I mean, and plus, if he's playing injured and played at that high level, I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah. I've got three guys on my list of guys I'd like to see. I've got J.C. Treader is obviously number one, but he might be the most expensive. So if we don't go that route, I'd be okay with that. Another option would be Matt Paredes from Carolina. Obviously, he's kind of familiar with the Buccaneers system from playing against them for 7 years, twice a year for 7 years. He might be a little more expensive as well, though. Quite a downfall in terms of the pass block. You're going from an 83 to a 53, so that's a big drop. Run block is 70, essentially. That's a little expensive, and if we're going to spend money, I'd rather spend it on J.C. Treader than Matt Paredes. I think the best value, and this is based off of injury. I think the best value that we could find on the offensive line, if he's healthy and able to play, would be B.J. Finney from Pittsburgh.
My question is, Danny, and I'm out of focus again. Are we past the point of bringing in somebody, though? Because the season is what, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks away. Aren't we past that point to bring somebody in to get acclimated with everything, though? Are we past that point? Or are we just to the point where, hey, if we bring in a guy, he's got to be the depth that we need for right now, and if he starts to shine, he's going to be in there anyways?
I think it depends on who you're going to bring in.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to bring in somebody like B.J. Finney, right?
Right.
Here's where his value is if he can play, because he never officially announced a retirement. A reporter said that he was retiring, but he's never confirmed it. He's never denied it. He kind of like Jameis Winston's wants $30 million, where he was just like, I know nothing about nothing. I think B.J. Finney would be the best option for backup. He's played 400 snaps at center and 500 at left guard. If you need somebody that is familiar with both of those positions, because those are the questionable positions, that feels like the best and most realistic option for a plug and play is to say, hey, we're going to bring you in. We know you might not be fully up to speed in terms of your health, in terms of the playbook, but we're going to bring you in and you're going to back up our guys. We'll give you $2-3 million, whatever, because we know what you're worth. He had a 74.0 run block and a 74.0 pass block and a 68 run block grade. That's not bad. Those are better than Ryan Jensen's numbers. You're not going to replace Ryan Jensen in terms of leadership, but you can statistically. And that's being real.
Well, I want you to be real right now. How concerned are you
with the offensive line?
Yes, 1 to 10.
I'm very concerned.
Okay. Well,
what's
your grade? Are you 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest? Are you 10 concerned? Or are you in the middle?
I would say when Ryan Jensen went down, I was a 6. Okay. And now that Aaron Stinney is down, I'm probably a 7.5, 8, somewhere in that area.
Okay. Because I'm looking at the first 4 games of the schedule, and those are like the pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tough games. The first 4. I think the one game that's really going to give them the most trouble, especially at the offensive line position, it's definitely got to be the New Orleans game, because they've got
and we already know they have trouble againts New Orleans,
and they've got a tough defense,
right?
And
better than their offense,
and they always give the Bucs huge issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dallas is no slouch on defense either.
Well,
when you got Micah Parsons rushing, here's the thing: is Micah Parsons is going to rush right up the middle, and he's going to pancake Robert Hainsey the way that he's looked in the preseason so far.
Yeah, that first 4 is going to be interesting to see, because Packers I'm not too worried about, because their defense usually
doesn't turn it on until late in the season.
Right, it's usually their weakest link in the first half of the season. The Chiefs are always a problem too, but at that first 2 games, the Cowboys and the Saints, it's you may come out of that maybe 1-1.
Right. It's entirely possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a realistic thing, because we can't seem to beat them in the regular season. We only beat them in the playoffs, which I'm fine with, because the playoffs are really what matters. But I mean,
well, Saints fans, they always say they win the regular season anyways, and that's the only thing they win. So,
participation trophies, buddy.
Give the Saints their regular season championship. That's all they care about, anyways. At my grade, the worriness I have is I'm at a 7 right now, and I say that because going back to what you said about Tom Brady is not mobile at all, and now he wasn't really on his back a lot last year. Now it could be he might be on his back a lot this year. And that's, for a 45-year-old quarterback, that might be an issue.
Right.
So
and that's the thing, is you need the best ability is availability in every sport. And like Todd Bowles just said, if we don't have anybody available, we don't have anybody available. And that's the point. That's where you're starting to get. That's where you're starting to get to with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line, is guys are dropping, right? Let's say, God forbid, we saw Tristan Wirfs roll his ankle. He tweaked it. I think he missed 1 or 2 games his rookie year. Tweaked it, and then Allen came in for him. Or Wells. Josh Wells came in for him. And Josh Wells didn't play terrible, but you're talking about an offensive line that misses Wirfs is out, Stinney is out, Jensen is out. My God, you can and possibly could be in a lot of trouble with Tom Brady. And I feel like he's going to have a lot of input in bolstering this offensive line up and saying, hey, we need to fix this.
How much you want to bet when he was in the Bahamas and saw Stinney go down, he got the phone call from Light and maybe Todd Bowles from the bat phone and goes, look, you may need to come back a little bit early because we've got some issues. And
he's well, I can't hear you, Todd, going down the slide at Atlantis.
And I'm sure Giselle was like, don't you pick up that phone. All right, we'll cut your dick off or something like that.
And he's like, but
I bet.
I might not be able to walk after this if I don't make these phone calls.
It's probably an interesting thing. Like, he's on vacation. Another one of his guys goes down that's there to protect him. And somebody's got to inform him, of course, because he's not getting all this. He's not getting this from Twitter. He's getting this all firsthand from the organization while he's on vacation. So I'm sure he's like, I gotta go back now. I'm sure he's like, look, I can't. I have to be there to be able to dictate who's going to be protecting me or not.
Right. And I'm sure Giselle knows that.
I know she does, but I'm sure she runs the show.
Oh, of course.
She's definitely got to run the show in that family.
For sure. Any white man that's married to a Latina, the show is run for them. I can tell you from firsthand experience. The show is run, my friend. The show is run.
Tom runs the show on the field. At home, Giselle runs the show. So yeah,
yes.
I'm sure that was like he's like, shit, I've got to like break this to my wife. I got to go back. Like, scared.
You can play, but you need to do the laundry.
Yeah, yes, you can play, but you need to mow the lawn.
Tom Brady mowing his own lawn.
I bet he does. I bet he does.
$375 million contract. That man is not even looking at his lawn.
How many kids does he have? Like
3?
7? No, he's got 4.
Oh,
5.
That's Phillip Rivers.
Oh, he's got 11. I think Brady's got what, 4 or 5? Maybe 4. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah, because he had kids from the marriage before Giselle.
He had the one baby. He has the baby mama. So he's got the one kid, and then he's got 3. So he's got 4. So I'm sure he sections those off at his house. Like, hey, you got this portion of the lawn. I've got this portion. There you go.
I would hope that he's teaching his kids how to do chores.
I would hope so, too. I guess his kid is pretty good at golf.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be a great matchup. Tom Brady's kid versus Tiger Woods' son.
That would be pretty cool.
Oh, that should be the next match.
That should
Tom
be.
Brady and his son and Tiger Woods and his son. Boom. Call me. I just got your next matchup.
With Charles Barkley on commentary again, of course.
That's just terrible, Dad. No.
Do you think is it worth spending the extra money to bring in a veteran? I know that a lot of people are going, yeah, we don't want to have that much money tied up in 2 centers. But you're going to have to rent a center at this point in the season, right? Like, this is where we are. Is you're going to have to pull a Tampa Bay Rays. You're going to have to rent somebody. But is it worth overspending for them to teach Robert Hainsey and pair up with Ryan Jensen?
I would see them rather do this. I mean, if they're set at what they have, just like what Bull said in the press conference, if they're okay with who they have to roll with, then I'm confident enough that they know what they're doing going forward about who's going to be on that offensive line. Like, I would rather have them maybe just keep that money for now and get creative with it maybe down the road if they're looking to add somebody that's a free agent, if there is a need down the road. Obviously, there's a need offensive line, but if they're confident enough that they've got the guys that they have in that front, then keep your money and just save it for a rainy day. Because I know there's so many Bucs fans out there, especially on the social media platforms, that are just concernicus about, Brady being upright and who's going to protect Brady. But I think you all need to really realize is this team they're smarter than you are when it comes to personnel, and they're smarter than, believe it or not, they're smarter than me and Danny when it comes to sort of things like, okay. When it comes to bringing in the right guys and having the right guys in place when it comes to protecting your 45-year-old Super Bowl champion, greatest of all time quarterback. So I would say, as of right now, I would say let's roll with what we have, and then if it comes down to real trouble, then go out and find somebody. Because you never know. You never know. Maybe a few weeks from now, maybe a month from now, when we're into the season itself and the Bucs are really looking that weak on the offensive line part, they can maybe go and contact J.C. Tretter and be like, hey, you don't have nobody's. Is anybody giving you a call? Probably not. So we're going to throw you this amount of money just to come in to help us out and possibly win a ring. Because in the division that we're in, it's one of the weakest ones in the NFC. So far, the NFC is pretty much not really that wide open. There's only maybe 3 teams that are probably going to play for the Super Bowl, and we're one of them. So why not? And I'm sure you probably want to wash your hands clean of all the Cleveland stuff. So
everybody wants to wash their hands of the Cleveland stank.
That's true. But I would just say they would, if they were going to do something, they would get creative with the money that they have, and they probably would have done it by now, is to bring in somebody. So I think they're just going to roll with what they have because I think they're confident enough.
I don't know if it's a confidence thing, at least for me. From my is
are you instead of a confidence thing with you? Is it more like, you know what, they have what they have, and they just don't want to spend the money?
I feel like it's that, and I think here's what I've learned about Todd Bowles is very calculated in what he delivers to us during press conferences, and I've learned that. I think he's taken a page out of the Bruce Arians book because Bruce Arians used to essentially speak in tongues.
Right.
And I think when Todd Bowles says there's nobody out there for us to sign, I think what that does is that puts a chink in the armor of guys like J.C. Treader and Matt Paredes and the other available offensive linemen to say, hey, you're out there, but we ain't interested.
Right.
Because what that's going to do is that if I'm a competitor and I'm still able to compete and I'm still able to play at a high level, that's going to tick me off. I'm going to be pissed. I'm calling my agent going, get on the phone with Jason Light. Tell him I'll take a pay cut. Nobody's available to sign. Are you kidding me?
There's tons of guys available to sign.
Like there's 12 centers and there's a lot of left guards. There's a lot of left guards. But I think the three that I named, I think are my top favorite three. And I think that if we can get BJ Finney, he'd be the cheapest and the most effective because he can be plugged and played into two questionable positions where Paredes and Treader can't. But then you could also move Robert Hainsey back over to left guard.
That's true too as well.
Which is his natural position. And then you can kind of save Nick Leverett in the back. Like, I know people are very high on Nick Leverett, but we have to remember, Evan, Nick Leverett was the worst, statistically, was the worst offensive lineman in the NFL in the first week of preseason.
Well, remember, Tom Brady makes people better.
This is true. This is very true. But, I mean, he was literally the worst. I'm high on Nick Leverett as well. I think that he's going to pan out and be a good player. I think he's going to be a Swiss Army knife. I think we're going to see him step into a solid playmaking role this season in terms of the offensive line. But where? But that's my question, Evan, is where? Where do you actually plug and play Nick Leverett? Because you cannot expect him to make a difference if he's playing three different positions. He can't. It's not physically possible. You're not getting enough reps at one particular position.
Yeah, it's definitely a conundrum that they have right now. It's huge because, I mean, if they have guys keep dropping like flies, you're going to have some guys that are on the defensive side play offensive line.
Imagine Vita Vea playing off.
Why not?
I mean, he would know how to do it.
Or check this out. Look, call up Sue, call up JPP, be like, look, we need you back. But here's the catch. We need you on the offensive line part. We need you
know all of the moves.
Exactly. We need you to protect Brady. So how is that for you? Is that a creative experience? Like, we're going to offer you this amount of money. It's not much because we're dealing with pennies right now. But you get to show how versatile you are by being an offensive lineman instead of on the defensive side. How's that for you?
I think for me, the telltale sign would be as if we see a restructure of Donovan Smith's contract over the next throughout sometime this week, which we should have seen in the offseason anyway.
I think
we should have.
I think if they get into the hole, like I said before, if they get into the hole about guys keep dropping like flies, they're going to get. I mean, I'm sure they're getting creative right now about trying to restructure some contracts and free up a little bit of money to maybe go and sign a veteran. Because I mean, you have to have a backup plan if something else happens. You have to have some kind of contingency plan, like a plan B and a plan C. So I'm sure
they're already on plan B.
Right. Well, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I'm sure they're making those types of moves right now where they're talking with guys that are making the most money. I'm sure they're talking with Tom about, hey, what can we do? Who do you like that's out there right now that we can bring in? I'm sure they're doing that right now.
Right.
Just to be safe.
Yep. They've got to be, because you need warm bodies to line up on that line. And that's what it is coming down to. They're about to play with the replacements.
Are you more confident, or less confident or are you neutral about how they stand in the season before all the injuries that happened on the O-line? Less confident, neutral, or the same?
I would say I'm neutral.
Neutral?
I
Okay.
think
That's okay.
I might be leaning a little less confident just because you hit the nail on the head. Tom Brady makes players better.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Brady's also not a mobile quarterback. He might not have a pocket to climb up. And that's the thing. Now, here's the silver lining, Evan, is let's say no more injuries happen. Nick Leverett is better at pass blocking than he is run blocking. Robert Hainsey is better at pass blocking than he is run blocking. And we know that Tom Brady is going to sling it. His 719 passing attempts last season, and we know he's going to sling it. Where do you stand? Are you in the middle, or are you leaning one way or the other?
I'm in the middle. I say that because we haven't seen the O-line protect Tom Brady because Brady hasn't been in preseason. Like, he hasn't been in the preseason games to go up against somebody else besides his actual defense on the team. So we haven't seen that yet.
Right.
So until I see an actual game where he's going, it's full speed. We're going up against the actual team that we're playing. We're in week 1 or week 2 where I start to see cracks. Then my confidence will be like, okay, well, they maybe need to bring some guys in. Because right now, they still have, we're at what? September 11th. September 11th is the first game for them. So, I mean, we're 2 weeks out pretty much where they could make the adjustments that they really need to get that O-line, solidified to where going into week 1, everybody's going to be all confident and rosy and, sprinkles and donuts and unicorns words. Everything's okay. So I'm neutral right now because I haven't seen, full game speed. I haven't seen how the O-line is protecting him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
yeah.
I'm
that's
right
fair.
in the middle. Yeah.
And that's fair. Like I said, the saving grace for me is that they're better at pass blocking than run blocking.
Right. And I think also too that, Fournette is also a good blocker as well. And
right. And so is Rashad White. So
you could get creative where you could have, Rashad White up there maybe on the line or something like that as an extra blocker. Having a two running back set.
Flip back, yeah.
Yeah, you could have that.
Right. Because now we might see Rashad White, who was 4th on the depth chart. We might see him be plunged up into 2nd. He might take over Keyshawn Vaughn's backup role now because of his ability to block and protect.
And also, too, I mean, the tight ends as well. I mean, Kyle Rudolph is a good blocker as well.
6th highest ranked blocker in the NFL last season.
So you could get creative with him about being on the O-line as well. So, I mean, yeah, that's why I'm not worried at this point because they'll get creative.
They will. One thing that I find I like looking at this. Tom Brady has 108 games passing 300 plus yards. Drew Brees holds the record at 123 games. Can Tom Brady break it? He needs 15 games. I already came with stats.
I know
he needs 15 games, obviously, to tie. And he averages. Here's the kicker. Tom Brady averages 301 yards per game with Tampa.
Now, remember, Drew Brees only has that record is because the Saints, all they do is throw. That's all they did. That's all they did. That's all they did with
everything here.
Yeah, they didn't have a number. They really didn't have a stud running back to run it all the time. Now, of course, when Mark Ingram came in, he was great when he first came to the league. Then Kamara too, but all they did was just throw. That's
right.
That's all they did was chuck. I think he can do it if he has no line to protect him.
I think you're right. That's the key, right?
It all hinges on that. I mean, I'm just saying.
Do you think his arsenal at the skill positions right now is better than he's had the last 2 years?
Yes. I think so. Well, I would say the tight end position is the weakest link out of all that.
Right, but collectively,
I think it is. It's probably one of the best. I think it's one of the. I think it ranks up there with when the Patriots had its peak, where they had their top guys,
Moss, Welker,
exactly. So, yeah, I think it's one of the best he's had.
Yeah. I don't think it's just the best that he's had in Tampa, but one of the best, honestly, that he's had ever.
Right. I totally agree.
We said this before. I think that, sure, tight end, for what it's worth, is down, right? In terms of the starter. But if you're telling me the 3-guy rotation can't produce what one person did, I think you're crazy. I can, 89 receptions between 3 guys, between Rudolph, Brate, and Otten, is definitely a doable thing. And plus, you got to remember, Gronk was force fed.
That's true.
Gronk was force fed so he could make $200K. It's nice when your best friend is your quarterback as well, and cognizant.
What do you need to get your bonus? What do you need? I need
37 catches today. Got it.
You're good.
But I think Brady can. I think he can do it. It's going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be close, and it's going to be fun. I think we're going to see Brady eclipse 450 a couple times this season.
That I was reading. I was touching up on my fantasy knowledge yesterday, doing some research and stuff on Hooter, because I've got 2 drafts coming up. I've got one on. Actually, I got 3 coming up. I've got a dynasty draft on Saturday, my redraft on Sunday, and then another redraft on next Wednesday. And I was looking at Mike Evans, and they had a nice little blurb in the fantasy football magazine I was reading, where Mike Evans consistently has 1,000-yard season. He had another one, but it came down to the wire last year for him to get that other 1,000-yard season. So it could be coming down to the wire in this one for Tom Brady to do that.
Yeah, it very well could be. How about the Rays, man? How about the Rays?
I mean,
Rays up, baby.
Rays up. I mean,
8-2 over the last 10. Brady Arozarena again with another home run. It seems like
well, they're beating the teams that they're supposed to be beating.
Right. And that's promising.
Yes. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is taking care of business. And of course, when you take, 2 out of the 3 against New York, that's not bad either.
Right. Yeah. So when you're beating teams that you
and Danny, was I almost correct again about the Yankees maybe doing a collapse in the second half of the season?
Yeah.
I mean,
kinda.
that lead in the AL East is getting a little bit tinier each and every day.
Yeah. I mean, the Yankees are on a 2-game streak right now. So it depends. We have to remember, though, the Yankees have a much easier schedule to close the season. That's the scary part if you're the Tampa Bay Rays, is like you're literally walking down death row if you're the Rays come September.
Mm-hmm.
Finish the series, finish the entire month out, just win as much as possible.
Well, I mean, we talked about this before. The Rays haven't got on that long streak, like they haven't done it yet. And I think what they're doing is great right now. Is they're consistently winning series now. You're winning series after series after series. You're not like dropping 2 in a row. You're not dropping 3 in a row. You're keep winning, and that's the consistency that we've been always wanting this season. Is just keep winning series. That's all we want, and let the other teams lose what they need to lose. And right now they're playing great baseball. I mean, the guys that you want to heat up are heating up. I mean, Arozarena has been just clutch, man. He's just been destroying the ball.
But now Diaz was nuts over the weekends.
And Harold Ramirez, too, coming back from the IL, has been nothing but money. And let's not forget that Yandy Diaz is probably the MVP of this team right now. Yandy Diaz,
he has to be.
Him and his Pythons, which I would love to see him and Hulk Hogan in his prime do an arm wrestling match. That would be like a pay-per-view event.
Oh, Hogan would destroy him. He's going to be covered in baby oil.
Oh, it's too slippery.
Yeah. This is not even a contest, brother.
Did you touch on the setback that Wander Franco had yesterday's show?
No, I did not.
So Yeah, he did have a setback. The wrist was acting up, so they are going to pause his rehabilitation in Durham just for maybe a week or two to see how it is, which I think that's good. That's a good sign. I mean, hey, look, everybody's a little sore after they've had a wrist injury like that. Don't rush him back. If they let him sit for a couple weeks and then he'll be maybe in time for September to roll around where you need him the most. I mean, hey, don't rush it in. Let's have him. Let's have him for the gauntlet and then hopefully the playoffs to have him back.
Well, they're at what are they at now? 75% chance to make the playoffs.
Hey, that's better than a couple weeks ago where it was 40-something%.
Yeah, in the low 40s. The only thing we like in the low 40s is a cold front for a couple days.
That's true, especially in Florida. So I mean, right now they do on the top spot in the wild card right now, half a game above Toronto and Seattle.
Then they hold the tiebreakers over both of them.
Exactly. So
that's the best part of it is because they don't play against the Mariners for the rest of the season, so they're always going to hold that tiebreaker.
I think the biggest thing too coming up, especially with them, is to really separate themselves from the Blue Jays. Is that 5-game series that they have against the Blue Jays? Like that's going to be one of the biggest series for them coming up. Is that one because if you come out of that one, maybe going 4-1 with that, or even 3-2, like that's a good way of kind of separating yourself. Now, obviously, we don't know what Seattle's schedule's coming up is, but with that, really that 5-game set is okay. And at not Baltimore, but Toronto's been playing really nobodies right now.
Right.
I mean, they smacked around the Yankees, but like people have been smacking around the Yankees for the past month or so. But Toronto's really been playing nobody. So I think this 5-game series is really going to be one of these. Okay, we need to slap these mofos around just to get some separation in that top spot.
100%.
Especially going into September.
Half game up is not comfortable.
No, it's not. That's and it's funny because the top 3 spots everybody's going up and down, up and down, up and down. There's nobody that's pulling away with this thing right now.
And if we keep playing musical chairs for the remainder of the season with that wild card spot, hopefully the music stops and we're in a seat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's realistically, that's all you can hope for if it's going to continue this way.
That's all we want. That's all we want.
The Rays magic number is 41.
Okay.
They got to win 41 games at least if they want to get in the wild card, in the top spot in the wild card.
Yep, they got today, tomorrow again, and they've got the 3 more games against the Angels, and then Boston away, and then Yankees and Boston. Yeah, so we've got a nice little schedule.
About that 2-game series against Miami, which is hopefully going to be
a little sweep, 2-game sweep. Yeah.
I find it interesting that they still don't have a pitcher announced for the Angels for Wednesday's matchup for tomorrow against Shane McClanahan. I assume it's going to be Otani, but you would already have him announced as the starting pitcher if it was going to be him, would you not?
Yeah, but you know what? That organization to just run ass backwards, it doesn't surprise me. Especially coming from what Joe Madden said over the weekend to Mark Tompkins from Tampa Bay Times, where that organization should just run amok. And I don't know if you saw that article about what Madden said about them. He's like, that organization, they're dead to me. That's harsh words coming from a guy that came up in your system, and then you hired him for your manager, and then you just kind of treated him like crap. And then he's saying the organization is dead to me because of the way it's run. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they haven't named a pitcher yet.
I can't believe it's just weird because
it's not weird to me. Honestly, if there was, I'm surprised they haven't announced it because especially going against the one game you have is against McClanahan, that'd be the matchup of the week.
I mean, but you already have your announcement for Thursday. That's the weird part for me is like what is going on with Wednesday that you don't want to let people know, like, hey, this is who we're going to have. Like they've got their
don't try to make it a mystery, Los Angeles. I mean,
they've got their lineup all the way through the end of August. already announced on their team website, except for Wednesday. Like
I don't know. It's weird to me. Unless, look, they are running amok over there. It doesn't surprise me that they're just doing everything ass backwards and not announcing it. I mean, it is obviously that it's got to be Otani.
I would assume so. Yeah.
It has to be.
When was the last time Atonic pitched? Well, he's scheduled to go on Saturday. When was the last time he pitched? Otani's last pitch was the 21st in Detroit. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, because they usually run him out every 5 games. So they might, what they might do is a bullpen day.
That's possible. That might be why, which is great for great for us
because they only win when Otani is out there. That's it. So
that could be a 4-0 sweep, which is exactly what you want. I'll take 4-0 any day over 3-1.
I'll take it too. But yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen because he pitched a couple days ago. They don't want to throw him out there that early or that late or whatever.
Yeah,
because I know the rotation with him is every 5 days they run him out.
Right. Yeah, and this is 3 days.
Yeah, so that for him, no. Like I said, it's the Angels. They run everything ass backwards over there.
Who knows? Maybe they already know that they're out, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we're not making anything this year, so why not? So
yeah, we'll save your shoulder, save your elbow.
Yeah,
you're our entire team on offense and defense. So let's just.
Hey, Mike Trout's back. I mean, he's back from his back stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true. Too late though.
Yeah, too late.
Too late. Maybe next year. Sorry, guys. Better luck next season.
Until they move Otani and get prospects, and they do something with Trout and his gargantuan contract, that Angels team is just going to be in the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, we'll take Mike Trout for a discount.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I'll take Otani too. We'll give you the farm. We'll take Otani as well.
As long as they're coming up on expired contracts, we'll take them.
Yeah,
that's how we do it down here in St. Petersburg.
That would do it. Come on.
Maybe we would do it differently if we were in Tampa Bay, but we're not. Evan, how close? This is a big topic of conversation amongst the Magic fans. How close are the Magic to actually being contenders in the East? I know we talked about this a little bit on Friday, or was it Friday when we talked about it, or Wednesday? We talked about it last week.
I know about it last week. About how it was doable, where I said they could win 40 games.
Right. 40 games is doable. And then, remember, Markelle Fultz said 4th seed on Twitter. I don't know if the 4th...
I think they're just maybe another year or two away.
I think they are definitely on the right path. They have done great things in the rebuild. One thing that people might not really realize is that Markelle Fultz is projected to be their starting point guard over Jalen Suggs. And he's their elder statesman in terms of league experience with 4 seasons. That to me, that's exactly where you want to be if you're rebuilding. If you've got solid starting players and everybody is 4 years or less, with the majority of them being 2 years or rookie, sign me up. That is exactly where you want to be going forward as you're trying to build this team.
Yeah, I've said this. Look, we all know this from the show. We all know this from social media. I don't watch NBA. I don't cover NBA. I don't watch it. I don't cover it. But I know when an organization is making the correct moves to build a young core to compete. And that's what I think the Orlando Magic have been doing for the past couple of years. They're on the right track. They're just not there yet. Do I think they might give the East a little bit of trouble? Possibly so. But I don't think it's going to be enough to where it's going to be enough to have them in that 4 spot. It's just, they're just a year or two away from being how the Orlando Magic were like a long time ago.
Right. With Dwight Howard and Hito Turkoglu.
Right. But it's not necessarily a bad thing that, they're not going to be in contention just. Look, I think what they have in place is the right stepping stones to be a contender in the East. They've got the right they're just a couple players away or maybe a trade away. But I would think what this team is, they've just got so many young guys. It's just, look, we've got the pieces in place. We just need the right roadmap. And I think they're getting there, just not yet. I'm still sticking by my 40 wins. I will still stick by that.
The more I see these guys posting stuff on their social media of their off-season workouts. I see that's way more than I see with any other players.
That's good.
I realistically think that our best starting lineup consists of Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. And I think that this team is going to be a trap game for a lot of people that are overlooking them, going, "Yeah, they're not ready yet. They're not ready. They're too young. They're too inexperienced." And they possibly could shock a couple of teams and find themselves up into maybe a 5th seed. Because we assume you've got Miami, Boston, and Milwaukee are going to be your top 3 in any order, right? In any of those orders. But are they really better than the 76ers with Joel Embiid and James Harden?
I'm not going to rule it out. You know why? Because that team is getting older.
Have you seen James Harden now, though? James Harden's taking it serious.
Is he fat James Harden now, or is he?
No, he's six-pack James Harden now.
Oh, he's slimmed out?
Barkley. Yes.
Oh, he's slimmed out James Harden now.
Yeah,
he's taking it seriously now. Okay.
Right. He is gone from Oklahoma City to Houston James Harden. Where you're ooh.
Oh.
So you combine him with Joel Embiid, and I think that you've got to watch out.
Okay.
You've got a serious problem on your hands and knees.
Okay. So if James Harden is really taking this seriously now, where he's not eating like McDonald's after games, I'm okay. All right.
You know what I find crazy though? You talk about eating McDonald's. Remember when Chad Johnson was like, I literally eat McDonald's breakfast every single day, and you're like, you're in better shape than anybody I've ever known in real life. How is this possible?
He was on the Nelk Boys podcast, I think a few weeks ago, where he was saying, all the guys that get hurt in the NFL, they are the ones that eat like little birds and rabbits. So like, I eat crap. I eat shit.
Yeah,
but I burn it off and I work out. So
you got all that padding around your bones and your muscles.
Exactly. Man. You need that. It's like for the guys that get hurt in the league, that get hurt too much, they're eating nothing but like rabbit food. So he's like, I eat like crap. He's like, I eat McDonald's and pizza, and it's like I eat all that crap. But I go to the gym though.
A lot. I eat McDonald's at the gym. God damn it!
I'm curling dumbbells and McMuffins.
He's like,
yeah. Oh, hey, that's not a bad way to do it either.
Are they better than the Raptors? Maybe. The problem is the Raptors are improving. They got better in the offseason. And I can't even I'm drawing a blank here. And they're getting a player back from suspension who is a very big difference maker for the team.
I can see the Magic jumping into the 40 wins, the 7, 8, 9, 10 area. Obviously, the teams above them from last year, the Pistons, the Pacers, the Wizards, and the Knicks. I'm surprised the Knicks even won that many games because they're just god awful.
And they still are god awful.
It's god awful. We discussed this before. The Orlando Magic will be so much better than they were last year. Because the other teams that are in that
26, more than 26 wins for sure.
Yeah. I think the one team that really drops really down from the 7, 8, 9 spots from last year is the Nets, because the Nets are just a shit show right now.
I want to discredit the Nets because of all of the crap that's going on, but I also can't, because I know that if you've got Kevin Durant who's there and Kyrie Irving who's there, they're still going to show up and they're still going to play.
Yeah, but I don't think KD is going to show up at all.
I would worry more so about Kyrie not showing up than KD.
At this point, I don't. KD's more likely to show up. Kyrie's more likely to show up than KD is, because KD wants out. He wants out. Kyrie, you only have to worry about the games that you have to be COVID vaccinated for. He won't show up. He won't be there.
Right. I just feel like I have to give them some sort of credit to be in the playoff, even if it's a 7 seed, 8 seed in the play-in game. I feel like I have to, just based off of them still being on the roster. And then and you got to remember Ben Simmons is returning, whether you think he's a bum or whatever, like he's still returning, and he was still one of the top players before choking and on shooting free throws in the playoffs and getting essentially run out of Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Like he was still a top player in the NBA. Is he mentally soft? Yeah, sure. He is. But he's still a player you have to kind of give a little bit of respect to. And that trio, if they're there and they're playing, even if everything else around them is crumbling, I think you have to give them some sort of respect because KD's still one of the best players in the world. Kyrie still has the best handles in the world. Ben Simmons is a very good defensive point guard. You know, you have to try to give them some sort of respect. But I think here's my shocker for you. I think that the Magic will finish above the Nets. I think the Nets will finish 7 or 8, and the Magic will finish 6. I'm sticking with 6.
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna ride with you on that. I like that.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You have
I have a little space between us, though.
You have my support.
But I think that's realistically, you know, you've got to, dude, your average starting lineup is 21.4 years old.
It's a good starting point to have that young core like that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
The entire team is 23.4 years old on average. And most of that is being tilted heavily because you've got Terrence Ross on your team, who's your elder statesman in his 30s. You get rid of Terrence Ross, I mean, then you're dropping even younger. They're the second youngest team in the NBA. So you've got all of these promising players. Cole Anthony has improved. He's been in the league 2 seasons. He had a decent rookie year. He improved last year. Jonathan Isaac coming back after 2 years of being out. He should have a chip on his shoulder. He absolutely should have a chip on his shoulder, and he should play like a man possessed. He should play if he's going to be the 6th man off the bench, because we don't know who's going to come off the bench first. I don't know if you want to pull Paolo Banchero, who you're already viewing as your leader. I don't know if you want to like pull him so you can get Jonathan Isaac in the game first. You know what I mean? Or maybe you pull you pull Wendell Carter and plug in Jonathan Isaac at center. And you're kind of running a smaller center, like a zone.
You drafted Paulo for a reason. He's starting game 1.
Right. And then you got Franz Wagner, who was a 15.2 points per game last season as a rookie. Okay. Yeah. Like they've got so many promising things here, and it's really looking up, and it's looking forward to making the playoffs this season and starting to get, I think the biggest take home. You remember when we talked about when the Magic drafted Paolo Banchero, and we had like the greatest sports take of all time from some random Twitter user?
I do remember that.
I want Paolo Banchero to be here simply to excite the fan base. I don't care if we win 23 games. I don't care how many wins we get. I want him to come in and just make the fans happy and turn the negativity into positivity. And I think he's done that, and he's done that very well.
I'm really, the Magic have started to create a buzz around them.
Yep.
There is a buzz. There's no denying that.
Not quite national media, but there's definitely a buzz around the Magic for sure.
I agree.
Andy in the chat says the Magic won't make the playoffs. I think the Magic have a better shot of making the playoffs than the Nets, because I know he's a Nets fan.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, Danny. Everybody's entitled.
This is true. Right or wrong. Everyone's
right or wrong.
Man, that's going to wrap it up for us today on this Tuesday edition of Channelside in the Morning, live from the Channelside Sports Network. Appreciate everybody that is tuned in. Way too many people tuned in on Twitter. I appreciate it, but I also, it's like a backhanded compliment. Make sure you follow us on all of the sports social media networks. Look for the Channelside Sports Network. Give us a follow. Subscribe to us on the YouTube. Hit the thumbs up if you're ever watching it on the YouTube. We highly appreciate it. I am Danny, and that is Evan. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow.